The way that we care for our water and our land is so important. Today we meet with a master outdoorsman that shows us the amazing results that happen when we approach a site with passion and vision. You won't want to miss it, so stay tuned as we garden smart from Missouri.
DRAM has been providing professional gardeners with equipment for over 65 years. DRAM products feature 9 water patterns and are designed to nurture your plants with a shower of rain. DRAM for lawn and garden. Available at garden centers near you.
Bartlett Tree Experts, a 100-plus-year-old tree and shrub care company with global reach and local roots. Bartlett Tree Experts provide a range of services. Beautiful trees make a house a home.
I should be arrested for crimes against potted plant kind. My house is where plants came to die.
Miracle Grow Potting Mix is designed to help grow big, beautiful plants. Everyone grows with Miracle Grow.
Hey there, little Red Riding Hood. You sure are looking good.
Dogwood Canyon is located in the White River Basin in the Missouri Ozarks. The prehistoric canyon is teeming with remnants of a bygone era, as well as the site of the oldest human remains ever discovered in Missouri. Wildlife is plentiful in Dogwood Canyon, with deer, elk, bison, wild turkey, and bear finding a natural home in this 10,000-acre Ozark paradise. The first parcels of land were purchased nearly 25 years ago by Johnny Morris, owner of Bass Pro Shops. It was his passion for conservation that drove him to find raw tracts of land, return them to their original pristine beauty, and make this spectacular wilderness experience available to everyone. Johnny Morris has been considered a modern-day Teddy Roosevelt for his conservation efforts. The list of accolades goes on, as Johnny Morris has been recognized by many conservation and environmental stewardship organizations. As owner of Bass Pro Shops, he's devoted his life to the outdoors and the preservation of the majestic beauty of the Ozarks. Still an avid fisherman and outdoorsman, Johnny has remained closely connected to every aspect of the conservation efforts at Dogwood Canyon, as well as casting a vision for how each of us can take an active role in improving our environment. Johnny, you're perhaps best known, of course, as the owner and founder of Bass Pro Shops, but one thing I think that many people don't know about you is that you're a very dedicated conservationist, and you've also committed a tremendous amount of your life to educating people on how we can all be better stewards of our water, our land, and of course of our animals. One thing I'm really interested in when I meet an entrepreneur, and especially one who's had a very long track record of success like yourself, in most cases that's born out of a passion that they had for whatever they're doing, and would love to hear the story of how Bass Pro Shops got started.
Well, you're right, Eric. It was born from passion because I've always loved to fish, and I just was lucky. My dad loved to fish, and I always have fond memories of fishing with him and my mom's brother, Uncle Buck, who was a character, and grew up fishing on the rivers here. And then when I was about 10 years old, they built Table Rock Lake. Table Rock Dam was formed by the Corps of Engineers, and that dam took away a lot of our good river fishing, so we were kind of worried some of our fishing holes were gone, but it created so much habitat. Anyway, back to fishing. In 1970, I fished in the first national bass tournament held on Table Rock Lake. I was supposed to be going to school in Springfield that was called SMS and another school, Drury, but I was fishing quite a bit and I was guiding some. And I fished in this tournament and I met people from all over the country, all these fishermen, and many of them were making baits in their garage or their basement, or just upstart companies like Tom Mann, the inventor of the jelly worm. And I approached my dad, and he had a liquor store on the way to Table Rock Lake. And I said, Dad, how about we put some fishing tackle in your store here, and maybe guys, stop by and get something else, and we'll both do good. And So my dad was my hero in life, and he supported me. And we just named the shop Bass Pro Shop because it was very descriptive of our passion, our mission. We wanted to be the specialist shop for bass fishermen. So a few years later, we had enough inventory, we were able to come out with a catalog, because I felt like there was a lot of fishermen around the country, like myself, that were looking for this gear. And timing in any endeavor, you know, is real important. So the timing was right, and we published and mailed our catalog. We didn't have any, you know, 3-year business plan, even a year. We just mailed these catalogs. Man, it hit the fan, but I feel very grateful in the journey of Bass Pro to have always had the support of my family and kind of extended family, a lot of great people with a lot of passion that make up our company today. And we've always had like a pioneering spirit to try things, to take better, you know, give our customers better service and make things fun for them in the stores and outdoor experiences.
Johnny, tell me about Dogwood Canyon. This is, of course, the first time I've been here, and it's one of the most beautiful natural sights I've ever seen.
Well, thank you. Yeah, to me, it's an unspoiled slice of the Ozarks nature, like it would have been thousands of years ago. And it's a fascinating little nature park here, and a way to get people connected to nature. It's very inspired by a place close to you, Callaway Gardens.
Right.
There's so much history here. People have long been, you know, like forever connected to water, nature, animals, and we just later on in life had the opportunity to put this land together and try to preserve it. We put together enough land to first focus on the watershed, make sure everything remains. So water is kind of a precious thing, you know, so keep the water pure and clean, and develop little fish pools. That's kind of important.
Right, absolutely. Well, you've done a wonderful job of creating a very, very special place for people to come and reconnect with nature. I can't wait to see it.
Can't wait to show you.
One of the most impressive things to me about Dogwood Canyon is just how pristinely beautiful the water is. And I know that there were a lot of efforts on your part to clean these streams up and to get them into the condition that they are. And I want you to tell us how you did that.
Well, thank you for noticing, because the water here and the streams are the highlight of this piece of property, this land that we're going around today. There's like 34 natural springs that flow through this valley, Dogwood Canyon. And Missouri is referred to as the cave state because of our karst topography and limestones. So we get a lot of springs that filter up through the limestone. And when we found this many years ago, almost 30 years or more ago now, we knew the stream had good fundamentals there, because it would sustain fish life. But it had kind of grown in disrepair. A lot of it had silted in. And so the first thing we did, we reached out to the Missouri Department of Conservation and some other experts, like a friend, Dave Whitlock, expert fly fisherman. And we focused, as far as the stream, to try to have healthy habitat, vibrant habitat for the fish. And if you have that, then it's going to be healthy for the stream overall. So first thing we set out to do was, where we could, acquire additional lands that were part of the watershed.
Okay.
And we placed this land in a conservation easement, or in kind of a not-for-profit foundation, so that can never be disturbed. You know, it's one goal we had, that because we've been blessed, we were able to do and set this aside as a place where people for generations to come hopefully can come here and see what we're seeing today, and it'll be very natural. We cleaned out some of the pools of silt I mentioned to get depth, keep the water cool, and to create a series of waterfalls to oxygenate the water for the fish and to keep them happy. We planted some aquatic vegetation, but we also found we started cleaning up the stream and paying attention to it. Just the natural growing watercress started to reemerge, and by having enough depth in places, then the insect life could thrive more. So it all kind of gets interconnected.
Well, and that's one of the best ways to discover what the health of a watershed is. A stream, a river, is looking at the insect life and also the plant life that starts reemerging. So in the case of an unhealthy stream or river, we don't see the presence of many of those insects and plants. And so I can imagine it was very heartwarming for you to start seeing those things coming back to life.
Absolutely, and it's surprising how quick that can happen.
Johnny, in the side yard by my place, I've got a stream that runs by. Many American homeowners have also got creeks in their backyards, or maybe they're concerned about, what happens with the runoff that comes off their roof, runs down their side yard and into a ditch or a culvert. What's some practical advice that you could give our viewers for how they can do a better job at water conservation?
A lot, to me, just comes down to common sense and using good judgment. And think about what are you putting into that creek, or if you're fertilizing more on your lawn than you need to, are those chemicals really good for that water? Right. No. So just common sense, and then also reaching out to others. And here in Missouri, we have the Missouri Department of Conservation. They're a great partner to private landowners of all sizes. They'll come and help you. And I think that's true in many states, whether it's called the Department of Natural Resources or Department of Conservation. And then too, if you go online, I think people can go online.
Right.
And here we have many groups. We were involved in one, the start of a couple actually here. One's called the White River Basin Partnership. It's just a grassroots effort of people concerned about the water quality coming together. And they have guidelines and things that all landowners can be mindful of. And so I think just reaching out to others is hard to beat, and just using your common sense too, because water is one of the most precious things we all have.
It is. There's so much information out there that's available to us, and also this is a community effort. It's important that every one of us are concerned about what's going on with our watersheds.
Yes, and not only what we put in it, but how much we take out and for what purpose. If we can minimize the use of water just with a little common sense and caring, all those things add up. In the whole conservation front, I do believe that people today, on average, are more concerned and aware about the environment, about conservation, than any time ever before in the history of the company. I really feel that. To me, that's a bright spot for the future of things I like hunting and fishing and nature. Absolutely. People care.
This is one of the more beautiful and unusual sites here at Dogwood Canyon. I understand there's also a lot of history that's associated with this place.
Yes, we call this place where we're standing Great Spirit Shelter. It was named by a friend of mine, Joe Green, and he named this place after I came up here one day and saw a few pieces of flint where Indians or some prehistoric people had been making arrowheads. So we had the local university, Southwest Missouri, come and do an archaeological excavation along with the University of Arkansas. And actually, Eric, where we're standing, we found the oldest human remains ever found in the state of Missouri. Wow. They carbon dated back to 6,000 BC, or a little over 8,000 years old. So just when we stand here today, we're all dressed in our clothes, you can't help but think back, what was it like then, 8,000 years ago, with people living here, and the fertile valley that still had everything to support, obviously, the shelter for people, but also the fish, the wildlife. What were things like? And these people living with these spear points and, maybe a deer skin or elk. At the time, we had elk here, we had buffalo, wild turkeys, and there was a long period in our state where they went away, and then through good conservation, they've come back. So you come here to Great Spirit Shelter, you can't help but feel connected to the earth and the nature and where we've come from, and just reintroduced free-ranging buffalo into the state of Missouri not long ago, and elk, and so a lot of great things happen.
Right, we see the vestiges of that ancient life in many parts of the site, and the trails, where we're standing is probably the same places that they walked. And one thing that was very impressive to me, as we're looking at these old trails, but then the many, many new trails that you've added, just how thoughtfully done that was. The way that they, weave around and give you surprise views. They're oriented in such a way to where we get, very specific perspectives on the beautiful stonework bridges. And I want you to talk a little bit about the process of what you went through to think about the trails and where they were going to go, because they're very, very important to this place.
That was a fun time in life when the kids were young then, and they'd come with me, and I'm kind of a daydreamer, and just to be able to walk over the land and spend really hundreds of hours just trying to lay out pathways that would get people connected to nature, and view corridors you're talking about, and little surprises here and there in nature that we discovered over many hours of having fun ourselves. And And then to involve the Blevins family, Ray Bivens and his family are stonemasons, and they made all these bridges and had so much pride doing it. And also Danny Swartz, and he's an Amish guy, and his whole family, and they built the wood bridge that we came over when you first arrived. Used all hand tools, you know, no modern day equipment. So it was all a great deal of, you know, it was a lot of fun, and it was something that just to be passionate about.
Sure. I think on any site, it doesn't matter how big it is. You know, certainly most people are not working with something of this size, but even if we have a very small garden space, there's something to be said for taking the time to walk the property, you know, get to know the property, and carefully and thoughtfully, you know, think through the ways that we can add different layers to it, that, you know, we can kind of work with the topography and the nature that exists there as we're thinking about planning out our garden, you know, instead of, you know, too hastily grabbing a shovel and starting to just cut in trails.
Just to be able to daydream what things are today, what can we kind of make, and to share with others, you know, in our backyard, or like here at Dogwood, you know, it's about, you know, sharing and having fun daydreaming about what you're able to create and work with nature a little bit.
Johnny, beyond all the efforts that you've put into water conservation and land conservation, I know one thing that's been very important to you is bringing back many of the indigenous animals that were here hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, that had then disappeared. Tell me about some of the animals that you're working on bringing back, and how you're working on rebuilding those populations.
Well, we're standing in a field of native prairie grass that used to be quite prevalent here, and then it went away. So we brought back the habitat for the animals. And so we have buffalo here, and we have a pretty good sized herd of elk. And we work with QDMA, Quality Deer Management Association, to have a trophy whitetail area for the free-ranging whitetail and the wild turkeys. And people come through here, they got a real good chance to see all kinds of critters. And it's kind of neat to know that they used to be here. And then I think through maybe some over-harvest and bad practices from man, they kind of went away. And some was just nature, disease, and things that happened. But it's exciting to be able to have these animals back here like they used to be, like you say, thousands of years ago, for people to see and enjoy.
Sure. And ruminant animals like buffalo, elk, deer are the most effective ways of actually rebuilding soil and land. And so it's that symbiotic relationship between, you know, grass farming and these animals that eat the grass, and then they, you know, add the fertilizer back, and then they trample it into the soil. And nothing rebuilds damaged soil the way that ruminant animals do. And so it's wonderful to see that that's a component of what you're also doing here.
Yes, and then selective burning every spring. You know, we'll do burning, which is great for the grass and the underbrush, for all the wildlife, especially the National Wild Turkey Federation. They're so big on that, pioneers, and you get habitat for turkeys, but you also get habitat for so many other critters, you know, so that's a lot of fun to work on.
Right, it's a very holistic approach that you've taken.
So Eric, we're all very happy to have you here at Dogwood Canyon. We appreciate all you're doing to share this place and Big Cedar Lodge with all your viewers.
Oh,
and
thanks,
I heard something though. I heard you never caught a fish on a fly rod. From all of us here at Dogwood, we want to present you with a fly rod. It's called Hobbs Creek Fly Rod.
You are too
and it's
kind.
named after a little stream that's here on Dogwood. But what's really I want you to do is catch your first fish in this pool. Our youngest daughter, Megan, she caught her first fish here. And our old country music fishing buddy, the late Waylon Jennings, he came here to Dogwood and he caught his very first fish, as did Megan, right here in this pool behind us. So you take this and
oh, well, thank you so much.
Put it to good use. Good luck. Well, let's go catch a big one, huh? You come back fairly fast with your cast, and then stop forward, and then just little strips. Put your forefinger up and run the line through that. You're a natural, man. Good cast. Oh man, just refused it right at the last little bit. Very good. Rod tip low. Another good cast. Oh, yeah, baby. Easy, 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 easy. Now, easy. Let him run when he needs to. That's a big, big fish. Really big fish. Let him go when he needs to go. It's real easy. In the net! Yeah! And the hook pulls out. Buddy, you work for him. That's awesome. What a beautiful rainbow trout. Look at that fish. Congratulations. That is a beautiful fish. Remember the rod you caught him on? Remember the shop it came from?
Yes, sir.
Very good equipment to catch a fish like this.
Yeah.
It's a happy day.
Before we leave Dogwood Canyon, I want you to talk about the future. I know that there's some projects that you're just now launching into. You've got a nature center or a wilderness type center.
Yes, we're building, it is a nature center, like classrooms for kids to come, part of the local school program. We hope kids will come out here and be immersed in nature and then have a little classroom component of that, and for really all visitors that come here to the canyon. And that was our passion about this place. Is we hope a lot of folks over the years to come will come here, enjoy this place, ride bicycles, go hiking, take tram tours to see the wildlife, go fishing like you've been doing so proficiently.
Oh,
we have
man.
great fishing today.
So with the new nature center, what kind of programs are you looking at having? Are you going to have displays for people or educational opportunities for them to learn about conservation?
Conservation, about the archaeology, the history of the canyon itself, the different plants, wildlife we'll have here, and little aquariums for like minnows from the creeks and trout. We're working on a trout hatchery here. I mentioned to you earlier, trout reproduce naturally here, but with all the fishing we need to supplement that some sort of building our own little hatchery here.
That's wonderful. Well, I can't reiterate how special this place is and how much I've enjoyed being here. And outside of just the sheer natural beauty, there's so much that people can learn when it comes to conservation. And also, I think there's so many applications, even on such a grand scale like this, there's so many applications from a standpoint of things that we can do at home. Ways of attracting wildlife right into our backyard, moving away from the hyper manicured yards into, say, more of a landscape or a garden that involves food plots for birds and animals, that involves habitat.
Yep.
And that's what you've mirrored here, except on such a grand and amazing scale.
But we have little small food plots too, and like our little butterfly garden.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing you asked me about the nature center. We want to pass that along and plant seeds for kids, that they can carry home to their parents. And it's one of the biggest things we see in the whole country in the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. They track. And like wildlife viewing is like just exploding in popularity, and there's so much people can do to just attract birds, butterflies, deer, everything right in their backyard these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, your efforts are obvious and very, very well appreciated. And Johnny, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed your day. It's been so
Buddy,
special.
I enjoyed hanging out with you, every minute of it. It was great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Another show, another amazing garden. We hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as we've enjoyed producing it. If you watch the show, we travel the country visiting beautiful gardens. Well, we have a surprise in store for several in the audience. To learn more about the surprise, visit our website at GardenSMART.com.
DRAM has been providing professional gardeners with equipment for over 65 years. DRAM products feature 9 water patterns and are designed to nurture your plants with a shower of rain. DRAM for lawn and garden. Available at garden centers near you.
Bartlett Tree Experts, a 100-plus-year-old tree and shrub care company with global reach and local roots. Bartlett Tree Experts provide a range of services. Beautiful trees make a house a home.
I should be arrested for crimes against potted plant kind. My house is where plants came to die.
Miracle Grow potting mix is designed to help grow big, beautiful plants. Everyone grows with Miracle Grow.
Hey there, little Red Riding Hood. You sure are looking good.
There are many simple things that we can do every day to help preserve the natural beauty of our surroundings. If you have questions about anything you've seen today, visit us on the web at GardenSMART.com. And remember, even if you're a master gardener, there's always more to learn. So join us next week for more great tips and gardening ideas as we garden smart.
There's the first fish tip. You always hold it way out in front of the camera.
Right.
You're gonna have to hold him a long way to make him look big.